My background is stream restoration and river restoration, and I've done projects all around the province, and basically my job is to go in and fix up problems that humankind has done along rivers, either through encroachment of highways or bridge crossings or just other problems, forestry problems, and I've done that all around the province. And by far the best way to do that is to try and mimic nature. I mean, we used to, Paul knows back in the old days, we said, oh, rocks this, riprap that, channelize that. That doesn't work. You end up chasing your tail. You cause more problems downstream. So over the years, we developed, well, the best way for a channel to function and to stabilize itself is to give it room, is to restore natural function and stay away from it. And that's what we try and do. And it's not that recent. I mean, a job that I did started in 1990. This is down in Jones Creek, down near Hope, and BC Hydro had a big project there. They wanted to improve fish habitat. They built an off-channel habitat with material from the fish channel. They built a berm. They built splash dams to try and direct the fish into this spawning channel. And this was all, you know, supported by DFO and MOE. It was a wonderful project. They spent tons and tons of money doing this project, and then a couple of years after it was done, there was a big landslide in the upper watershed. All that material came down, hit the splash dam that was used to divert the fish, went into the off channel, filled in the off channel, and just made a mess of everything. And my job ended up going back in there after they spent all this money, was to pull it all back out again and put it all back to normal. And since we've done that, we've had much better fish habitat. The reason why I'm here is I don't ever want to have to do any restoration on the Salmon River Delta. So.
My question is, I think they're fairly knowledgeable of this Salmon River Delta. Would any of them consider any kind of a major domestic development or commercial development out there next to the river?
Would any of our experts consider a development of any sort in the river?
Never occurred to me to think about it. No, I wouldn't.
Well, I used to not pay much attention, and still don't, I guess, to the salmon below, or certainly more than a couple of 100 meters downstream of the Trans-Canada Highway Bridge, because I never thought that anybody would ever consider moving down. And as for a government employee that's juggling a lot of balls at the same time, some of them probably not all that well, I like stretches that seem to be unoccupiable simply because I didn't need to worry about them.
My official answer would be that I would study everything I could study and gather all sorts of evidence, quantify the various consequences for various flood hazard and intensity scenarios, and then present my findings in a very intelligent and integrated way to the decision makers with some profound recommendations whose nature you may gather from my presentation. It's actually an outstanding idea, really. When you travel through European towns, what you will often find is that they mark the high water levels of certain floods, and they sometimes write next to it what return period it is. And that is would be a fantastic public education tool if you would put little stakes all over Salmon Arm or on the highway that say, here's the 200-year flood level as we understand it now. Put error bars on it.
But everybody would move out of town if they did.
Well, they don't in Europe. I just lived a year and a half in Europe. I just got back in Europe in October, and there's a town called Burghausen. Great town, known for its longest castle in the world, and its breweries. And there was a trail along the river that connected my office with the local brewery. And it's actually interesting. I'm getting a little bit distracted now, but that
breweries are flooding too.
That brewery was actually inaugurated in 985. I'm not saying 1985, in 985. And there is one of the ancient brewery buildings still there, and it's right on the riverside, and there it's marked the last 300 years of flood levels. And it's quite astounding. Like I jog, let's say, on this base level, and the top level is higher than the ceiling of this corner. And that's unbelievably illustrative, even for those who don't want to go to the brewery to drink beer. But it's really important to convey that piece of information to the public. Like, how high can it get? And I would totally support for any place, be it Salmon or whatever, put some markers in the landscape and say, now you know. No, I can certainly embellish a little bit on that. The Canadians are really nice, in my opinion. It goes back to the common law structure that we inherited, or that you guys inherited from the Brits. And it's all about reasonableness and this and that. And that precipitated, in my opinion, this ought to, should, perhaps consider this and that. The Napoleonic law, that is, in most of Europe, the law is very, very different. It's like that you can do, that you cannot do. And we do that in Canada too. You cannot be on the cell phone when you must buckle up. So why can't we do that for floodplains? It's a simple thing. Tell them this is the standard that must be applied. And one of the I'll become a politician in my next career. But that one of the reasons that we are now writing these new practice guidelines, they're called professional practice guidelines for flood assessments in a changing climate. That's what's being written right now, and they're going to come out at the end of the year. And this time it's very different. These are not guidelines that are being written by government with ought to and should. These are guidelines that are going to be written that say, this is what good professional practice constitutes, and you do not have the chance of bailing out and saying, well, it said there you should consider. The lawyers look at this very different. If it is challenged in court or any other way by a review process and you didn't do that, you will be held liable. Or your company will be held liable, whatever. But there is no wishy-washiness in there. That's professional practice. You better do it. If you didn't do it, you better have a very, very good reason why you didn't apply those structures. So by doing that, which is very opposite to what's been done in Europe, the legislator write this. Here they're not guidelines. Here's what you must do. And we're going to do it sneakily. We're going to do the professionals are going to write this thing, and then hopefully the law will pick it up later.